never seen myself as just one thing, and I made sure no one else could either. By staying true to myself, making my own path, rising above expectations, and opening the door for others to be their true selves. The first spirit, made with VSOP Cognac, finished in bourbon casks. Martell Blue Swift. Soar beyond the expected.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am Illuminati, and this is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show. As always, coming to you live every Thursday, 7 p.m. sharp, Atlantic Standard Time. And powered up by my friends at Martell, my friends at Massey Connoisseur. Shout out to the whole Massey family celebrating 100 years of business this year. Shout out to them. Guys, I'm so excited to see you all. As always, I need to remind you all, because some of you all forgot, some of you all are new to this space. Nothing that we share here on an evening should be misconstrued as financial advice. Strictly information, conversation, education. The ice rule, guys. You have to have your drinks, you have to have your cognac with ice on the rocks. Tonight, I'm having some Martell Blue Swift. Let me do it this way. Like how those girls be showing their makeup hauls and thing. I guess it's not working for me. But guys, I'm super excited to be with you all tonight. Shout out to Steven, always on time. Never, never, never late. And I always, always truly appreciate you, my brother. This evening, we're talking bull market, bear market, bull trap, bear bulling. Everybody is talking about where we are right now, because we've seen for the last few weeks, Bitcoin has been on an uptrend. We are seeing a lot of different tokens taking off. Well, I wouldn't say taking off, because we're still significantly down from all-time highs, but recovering. And there are two different schools of thought here, right? Some people believe that, you know what, this is the recovery. This is the beginnings of the next bull run that we're going to see really explode after the halving next year. Some people think, you know what, this is just another wave of up to trap bulls, and we are going to be headed back down. And I mean, I see the value of both sides of the spectrum, and we're gonna get into it a little bit, and then I'm gonna give you guys my perspective. So, what the bears are saying, the bears basically been talking that jazz since January last year, maybe even earlier, maybe December 2021. People were talking about in November. You know, but bears tend to be always bearish, right? Whether we pump into 69,000 or we heading on our way back down to 15,000, as far as they see it, we always in a bear market. But they do have some good points at times, right? One of the major points why a lot of the bears are saying that Bitcoin hasn't seen its bottom yet is that we haven't really experienced a full capitulation as we've usually seen in previous bear markets, right? Now, a lot of the bulls have countered with the fact that the market is becoming more and more sophisticated, and we can't expect to see the same depth of capitulation or retracement as we've seen in the previous markets. A lot of people have talked about the institutional investors like MicroStrategy who are in the space, who've kind of been sapping up any kind of significant liquidity, and all the other institutions and countries like El Salvador who are in the space, who have been buying. Now, on the other hand, the bull saying that a lot of the bears or a lot of the people who have bearish inclinations are just sad that they still waiting on this 10K price, or some say 9K price for us to hit there. They're still waiting to buy there. I would say that I was bearish for a significant part of last year, right? If you guys were present all through season 2, I kept really looking at November 2022 as being the bottom for Bitcoin. Not because I had a crystal ball and I knew that FTX was going to implode. I definitely didn't fucking see that coming. But when I look back at the price movement, November 2018 was the bottom of that bear market. November 2014 was the bottom of that bear market. And I was just like, yo, the trend is your friend until it changes. And for me, I had all my expectations really set around a bottom at November 2022. And then FTX happened, another Black Swan event that really shook the market. But for me, I was incredibly inspired by the fact that with what you would consider a Black Swan event early last year, with Russia and Ukraine entering into a conflict, what you would consider a Black Swan event with Luna and their algorithmic stablecoin collapsing last year, what you would consider a Black Swan event, even though we've seen it before in the crypto space with exchanges like Mt. Gox. But I think the scale of what happened with FTX, and because of how influential they were in the space, because of how influential they were in the political space, I would say that the bankruptcy and the failings of a exchange the size of FTX, at one point the second or third largest exchange in terms of volume, I think that was a Black Swan event. And for me, seeing the market, or more so Bitcoin, really stand up against all that FUD, all that uncertainty, all that negative press, and didn't get to that 10,000 mark, for me, I really started thinking, okay, this 10,000 mark isn't going to come again, right? And for me, the vibe that I was getting as more and more people called for 10,000 is the vibe that I got in November, December 2020, when Bitcoin started to break out 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, and there were quite a few people still expecting that correction back under 10,000. A lot of people were waiting to buy there, who ended up having to buy much higher. So for me, I think the clearest sign for me that why I am leaning towards the fact that we've bottomed. I wouldn't say that we are in a full-on bull market. I wouldn't say that we are in a bear market. I would say we are at the very beginnings of the next bull market. And the reason for that is because of something that we look at a lot, called the psychology of the market cycle, right? And I don't, you guys seen here, but I don't think you guys are seeing my mouse. But let me fix that here. And this is where I think we hit around the FTX saga. You know, it was panic, capitulation, a lot of anger, depression, as we started to see more and more projects being affected, more and more people being affected. We saw people like Tom Brady, the GOAT in the NFL, possibly losing his entire fortune during that period. And I think where I think we are right now is that period of disbelief, because we have so many people saying, you know what, this is a bull trap. And they've been saying that since we got to 17, when we got to 18, when we got back to 20, they kept saying this is a bull trap. And while I have no doubt that we're gonna see um, some retesting of those support lines, I personally believe that the bottom of this bear cycle, the bottom of this cycle, has been achieved in that brief period under 15,000. Let me just jump back in here. So for me, that's where I think we are. Stephen, so you don't think 9K is happening anymore? Stephen is laughing at 9K. Yeah, I mean, Stephen, to be real, everybody was talking FTX. And I think that's where, for me, coming off of FTX, coming off of the end of the year where, you know, there is some sell-off for people, usually for people who looking to shop. There is some sell-off for people looking to take advantage of those taxable losses. And we still didn't see the level of capitulation that a lot of the people in the market were calling for. For me, I think, you know, that kind of got me to the point where I was like, yeah, we probably not gonna get there. But that said, I want to just take a quick look at the Bitcoin price chart over the 7-day price chart and what that looks like. We're seeing that we got just above 24,000. We're still very much in, you know, a green zone as it relates to the weekly chart. If we look at the monthly, and this is all on CoinGecko, we look at the monthly, Bitcoin has been performing quite strong over the last month, January, which another historical reference point is that the January immediately following that bottoming November, so it would have been January 2015, January 2019, has always tended to be very, very good for Bitcoin. And that has been a very, very good gauge for whether or not we are actually seeing a reversal of fortunes in the market. But with all that said, I wouldn't rule out, because we still have a lot of, I would say, very concerning things to look at. Inflation continues to be very high. The Federal Reserve has not yet pivoted from their rate hikes. We saw another rate hike of the federal funds rate up to yesterday, another 0.25%. I think the market definitely expected it, and it was kind of priced in already. So when that was announced, we kind of saw the markets really started to boom, both the stock markets across the world as well as the crypto market. But if the Fed does not see the type of reversal of fortune in terms of inflation, I could see them taking a more drastic approach when they meet next month. And we could see something higher, maybe a 0.5%, maybe as high as 0.75%, depending on how bad they really want to punch inflation in the mouth. But I think before the end of the year, we're going to see the Fed really kind of change position. First, moving away from the rate hikes. We're probably not going to see any quantitative easing for the balance of this year. But I think as early as next year, we could see some of those things starting to happen. We definitely have to continue to keep an eye on what is going on in Europe as it relates to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. There are a few other conflicts, kind of popping there, that have been ongoing. throughout the world. As we saw last year, it's very easy for tensions to escalate into a full-on conflict. And with all the different macroeconomic factors, as strong as Bitcoin looks, we are not immune to the effects of a black swan macroeconomic event. So I think we would still have to be very, very disciplined in terms of how we approach. Um, you know, up to today, I was talking to somebody, I'm not going to call any names, and he was talking about taking a loan to buy some BTC here. I don't know that I personally am that confident. I wouldn't take them kind of risks, but it depends on your time horizon. If you have a 4-year, 5-year time horizon, I would say, yeah, I mean, it might actually work. I mean, I think we've only seen one instance where Bitcoin has underperformed its 4-year metric. So if that's something that you're feeling in your heart and you want to take that chance, go for it. Again, not financial advice. Illuminati, I am not a financial advisor. Don't go and tell them that I'll say so. I did not. So yeah, I would say, these are the points where you want to be taking advantage of your dollar cost averaging. I would have been doing that. Since last year, September, October time. And I think that's something that you would want to continue doing over the next 2 years. I mean, ultimately, over your lifetime, I honestly, personally believe that Bitcoin is the best asset in the world. With everything that we're seeing happening across the world, for those of you who would have checked out the Crypto Today videos, starting with Nigeria and what's happening there in terms of them not having access to cash from the banks, being significantly limited, 1,100 US per week for individuals, 11,000 US in terms of cash for businesses. That's troubling. What we're seeing happening in Lebanon with them having to devalue their currency. We understanding that even currency is not secure, is not as stable. People talk about the volatility of Bitcoin, but we can only make those references because we still operate in economies where our currency is still very stable, but anything is possible. I mean, even the US dollar does not go like this or like this. This is how all markets work, even currency markets. That's why so many people are trading forex. It's because the markets are fluctuating. So this idea of stability or this idea of volatility, I always say, volatility is not necessarily a bad word. It's an opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I think now is the time to be really contemplating on your next steps. I personally wouldn't risk anything that you would need in the short term. And by the short term, I would say the next year and a half, all the way up until after the halving. I think we're not gonna see all-time highs again until maybe late 2025. So if your hope is to somehow become a millionaire by buying, $100 in Bitcoin or $100 in any token between now and the end of the year, I mean, that's really pie in the sky dreaming. It's possible, but it's not probable, right? Some other things why I would say that I wanted to look at in terms of the Bitcoin and its position. I wanted to look at a couple of things that Plan B has been talking about for the last couple of weeks in terms of the RSI, Bitcoin in relation to the S&P, and also Bitcoin in profit. So I'm just gonna bear with my 2 seconds. Let me pull up Plan B, and we could look at some of his feelings, because he like myself, he does not believe that we're in a bear market. He also believes that we are at the beginning of the next bull run, but he's been wrong before, as I have. Um, his stock to flow model, which was very popular in the last bull run, has pretty much been invalidated. But I still consider him to be a very strong analyst in the space, and trust a lot of his interpretation of what is going on in the space and where we could see Bitcoin really perform. So just to share with you the RSI, or the relative strength index. Can you see me? Mm, what am I doing wrong here, guys? Let's see. Sometimes the tech fails you. Right. There we go. Right. So if you can see here, what this is actually showing right here is a bit of a trend reversal, right? So basically, in terms of the RSI, it looks at the relative strength of the Bitcoin price movement between here 30% all the way up to 100%. We're seeing us bouncing off of the 40% mark, not quite over 50% yet, which is would be the real strong indicator of where the fact that we're back in a bull run. But you see a lot of green here in terms of moving back into the positive. If we look at some of the previous cycles, we see this cluster of green here, we see this cluster of green here, we see this cluster of green here, that all kind of led back into bull runs. So I think this is a very strong sign, as he does, that we are on our way, um, and it will probably be a slow steady march back to that point of recovery and where we could feel comfortable. But again, like I said before, I think because of so many people, they always say, go in the opposite direction to the crowd, go in the opposite direction to the herd. I think because so many people are in this space where they feel like this is a bull trap. And for me, based on my experience, the markets are kind of set up to extract the most value from the crowd, from the herd. So when everybody else is bullish, you have to be a little bit more bearish and be a little bit more disciplined. When everybody else is bearish, that's when you have to be, I would say, a little bit more disciplinedly hungry, if that's even a thing. But though, for those reasons, for me, I think we are slowly but steadily working our way out of a very dark place. Again, anything can happen. We're seeing tons of FUD, sorry, fear, uncertainty, doubt. We have people like Charlie Munger again calling for for the government to introduce federal laws to ban cryptocurrency. I don't know why this man would just sit down home and sleep. I mean, yes, he is known to be one of the more successful stock and investment traders, but I could see how at 99 he might be a little bit out of touch with the new emerging technology. So from my perspective, I wouldn't trust the views of, I mean, he's not even a boomer. I think which generation predates the boomers? I don't even know, but I think that's the generation he belongs to. So Oh, Stephen, I wasn't talking about you. You see how you sell out yourself. I wasn't saying that you're the person who um who wanted to take out a loan to buy Bitcoin. Actually, it was another person. It have more of you all out there. It have plenty guys with brass cojones, So I don't have them. I don't have them kind of cojones where I would mortgage my house or whatever to buy Bitcoin. I mean, I believe in Bitcoin, but still, time horizons, time horizons. Yeah, he did say if he was a younger man with less money, he might be interested in gambling with Bitcoin as he calls it. But everything for everybody of a different generation. I'm sure when he got started and he was looking into the stock market, people who came before him were telling him, that's a mad scene. So guys, as Stephen always reminds us, as we try to always remind you guys, DYOR, do your own research. um, it's always good to listen to people like myself, other people on YouTube, people on Twitter, the groups that you belong to. But at the end of the day, in order to be comfortable when you put your head on your pillow, or to not be as irate when things don't go well, do your own research. So at least, whatever happens, that was your call, and you made an informed decision. You bet it all based on how you saw the play, and I think that's the best way that you could get sleep when the night come, whether things go well or whether things go bad. When things go well, you know that you did your own research, and that's why you decided to make that play. You pat yourself on the back and be like, yeah, I did that. That was all me. So do your own research, listen to as many different perspectives as possible. I personally believe that we are on the up. I think we're going to see a lot of sideways movement for the balance of this year. I don't see capitulation happening. I think that the bottom is in. But I would not doubt that we would retest 20K. I wouldn't even doubt that we might retest 18K. But personally, I think that the bottom is in. So, Stephen, everybody else, I'm seeing a few more people. They're not as vocal as you, Stephen. Thank you guys for being with me this evening. I hope that what I shared added some perspective to how you guys look at the market. Yeah, make sure and check out the Crypto Today videos. We try to touch on a new topic every day, keep you aware of everything that's going on in the crypto market and all the things in the peripheral of the crypto market, give context as to why crypto is relevant, why crypto is important. A lot of things happening in the space internationally, regionally, even locally in Trinidad and Tobago, where I'm based. We saw two new companies, TSCT and PESH, gaining the digital money, e-money issuer licenses. Maybe we'll touch base on that a little bit more, maybe bring one or two people on to talk more about that. Hopefully we get somebody from each of those companies to kind of give us an idea of why they went that way, what their vision for the future of digital money looks like. Does it involve crypto? Do they see it being something that needs to happen instead of crypto? But I think all of those are exciting conversations that need to be had. Yes, Stephen, community is key. So shout out to the Crypto Caribbean community, guys, for always showing love. And yeah, we will be here next week. I have an exciting guest, and we are approaching the midway point of season 3. And what I could tell you guys, that the back end of this season is going to be insane. Like some of the conversations that we have scheduled, guys, wow, I can't even believe it. So I know you all can't believe it, but guys, as I say always, adoption is inevitable. There is no way around it. Crypto is here to stay. Bitcoin ain't going nowhere. If you're not here today, be here tomorrow, because this is the future. Guys, as always, thank you for being with me. Illuminati out. Be blessed.